The moving truck was already half full by the time I got the call. My neighbor, Ed, 71 years old, voice like gravel dragged over glass, said 6 words that stopped my heart. "Leo, they're taking everything out." I broke 6 traffic laws getting home, and there on the porch I rebuilt with my own 2 hands stood my father, smiling, holding a manila folder like a man who just closed on a vacation home. "We sold it," he said. "Your brother owes $87,000. You're being selfish." He said it the way you'd say, "Pass the salt." Calm, certain, done. But here's the thing about my dad. He spent 3 weeks planning how to sell my house. 3 weeks. And in all that careful scheming, he forgot to check one small detail at the county clerk's office. That detail changed everything. My name's Leo. I'm 34. I restore old houses for a living. And this is the story of how my father tried to steal everything I built. 3 years ago, I bought the ugliest house in Millhaven, Virginia for $47,000 at a county auction. Nobody else bid. 12 years vacant, roof half collapsed, 4 layers of carpet over original oak floors. Everyone called it the ghost house. I saw bones, good bones. I spent 3 years and $62,000 of my savings restoring it. Every weekend, every vacation day. I replaced rotted studs, hand-scraped the oak, rebuilt the porch. And in the basement, I found a stained glass transom shattered into 40 pieces. 6 months I spent soldering it back together. Amber, cobalt, emerald. I mounted it above the front door, and every morning sunlight poured through it like a private cathedral. The Heritage Home Tour selected my house as this year's featured property. The brochure was already printed. My house on the cover. I didn't know it yet, but while I was fitting crown molding, my father was fitting the last piece of a different plan. My father, Gerald, 62, retired post office manager. You didn't argue with Gerald. You received his decisions. My brother, Derek, 28, charming, no follow-through. Gerald paid off his credit cards 3 times, bought him a truck, covered his rent. Every time Derek stumbled, Gerald caught him. Every time I climbed, Gerald looked the other way. When I bought the ghost house, he said, $47,000 could have helped your brother. He never visited, not once in 3 years. But Derek started calling 2 weeks ago, asking about my schedule, when I'd be home, if I had any trips planned. I thought he was making an effort. Now I know he was making a schedule. Tuesday, October 15th, 2:13 p.m. I was 40 minutes away working on a client's house. My neighbor Ed called. "Leo, there's a moving truck at your place. 2 guys are carrying out your furniture. Your dad is here telling them what goes." I made it home in 26 minutes. The truck was half full, my dining table, my floor lamp, my bookshelf gone. 2 men carried out my Turkish kilim, and there on my porch stood my father, smiling, holding a manila folder. "We sold it," he said. "Buyer paid $195,000, closing Friday. Marcus owes $87,000 to dangerous people. You're being selfish." He'd used the power of attorney I signed 2 years ago after a scaffolding accident. He'd held it for 2 years, waiting for the right excuse. I walked past him into the house. Living room bare, kitchen empty. The transom was missing. I found it in the garage, wrapped in newspaper, a new crack through the cobalt panel. 6 months of work, ruined. I carried it to the porch, set it on the railing. "That's part of the house," Gerald said. "Buyer gets everything." "You didn't sell a house, Dad. You sold 3 years of my life. When you're done being dramatic, you'll see I did you a favor." I didn't argue. I walked to my truck and assessed the damage. House worth $310,000, sold for $195,000. My $62,000 in materials, gone. 3 years of labor, gone. Heritage tour next Sunday, gone. My reputation, on the line. I picked up my phone, called Janet Holloway, the attorney who'd drawn up my deed. 2 years ago, when Gerald quietly withdrew $4,000 from our joint account without telling me, Janet said 5 words, "Revoke the power of attorney." I did, filed it with the county clerk, notarized, stamped, recorded. Gerald never checked. He assumed what he held in his drawer was still the truth. "Janet, my father just used the old POA to sell my house." A pause. "The one we revoked?" "Yes. That document is dead, Leo." Janet filed an emergency motion. The sale was frozen. Gerald's contract became worthless. That night, I stayed at Ed's house. At 8:40, Gerald called.
Think about what happens if you fight this. Those men Derek owes, they'll come for him. Is that what you want, your brother in a hospital? Did you think to call me? You had 3 weeks. You could have asked. Silence. I'll do what I need to do, Dad. He hung up. Derek showed up at 7 the next morning. Dark circles, stubble, looking like the little brother who always needed saving. If you block this sale, I don't know what happens to me. Did you know he was going to do this? His eyes flicked away. He called the buyer 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks, and not one call to warn me. Go home, Derek. Thursday morning, I checked my mailbox. Empty, dusty. I drove to the post office. A forwarding request was filed 2 weeks ago. All your mail is going to your father's address. She showed me the form, my signature, but the slant was wrong. Gerald's handwriting, pretending to be mine. I drove to his house. His mailbox was full. 2 weeks of my mail. Closing notices, title documents, everything that would have tipped me off. Directed and hidden. I photographed it, called Janet. Unauthorized mail forwarding with a forged signature, she said. That's federal. Postal inspection takes that seriously. Friday morning, the day the sale was supposed to close. I was on my porch at 8 a.m. when a car pulled up. Ray Colton, the buyer, a guy in his 50s, looked like he'd been up all night. Mr. Bennett, I need to talk to your father. So do I. Gerald's truck pulled in at 8:30. He walked up with Diane, both in their Sunday clothes, ready to close a deal. Ray met him at the porch. The title company called. There's a problem with the POA. Gerald's smile didn't waver. I have the original right here. Janet walked up the driveway. Navy blazer, leather portfolio. She'd driven straight from her office. The power of attorney was revoked 2 years ago, filed and recorded. Any contract signed using it is void. She handed Ray a copy of the revocation, stamped, dated, legal. Gerald's face went white. That's not possible. I checked. You checked the copy in your drawer. You didn't check public records. Ray looked at Gerald. You told me this was legitimate. I paid you $20,000. He folded the contract, put it in his pocket, got in his truck, and left. Gerald stood on my porch, holding a dead document, watching his deal drive away. Janet laid out the options. Fraud is a felony, up to 10 years. Mail forgery is federal. I didn't press charges. Instead, Gerald signed an agreement. No more POA, no contact except through lawyers, full acknowledgement of the revocation. Derek's $87,000 debt? The lenders were running an unlicensed operation. The debt was void, erased. Gerald lost Ray's $20,000 deposit, paid it from his retirement. Diane started driving to the next town for groceries. Shame travels fast in a small town. Gerald never apologized, not once, but he never said another word about me to anyone in Mill Haven after that. Sometimes silence is the only apology certain men know how to give. The Heritage Tour happened. 42 people walked through my house. They stopped in the entryway, looked up at the transom, crack and all, and asked about it. I told them the truth, that I found it broken and spent 6 months putting it back together, that the crack was new from someone who didn't understand what they were handling. They clapped anyway. Afterwards, Linda Fessler touched my arm. Your father told me a different story. I owe you an apology. I didn't need it, but I won't pretend it didn't matter. I still live in that house. Ed still brings coffee on Saturdays. I hired a helper, a kid named Becca, fresh out of trade school. I'm teaching her what old Tom taught me. Check the bones first. If the structure is sound, everything else can be fixed. My father sent a card in December. 6 words. I read about the tour. Dad. No apology, just 6 words. I left it on the kitchen counter. Didn't throw it away, didn't frame it, just left it there like a door cracked open. Maybe one day he'll walk through it. Maybe he won't. But my peace doesn't depend on his timing anymore. I restore houses. That's what I do. But this year, I learned to restore something more important, my own foundation. My name's Leo. I'm 34, and nobody sells what I built without asking. Not anymore.